we're back, and I'm here talking about YouTube today, which is an interesting one. That's not something we do very often, but this is related to the last video I made, the last Discord video I made, where I talked about the Discord stats. And if you've been around on my Discord recently, my Discord server, you may know that I did a very similar thing with YouTube stats and Google stats and that kind of thing. Because of course, Discord is not the only site that lets you download your data. Google is another one. And YouTube stats is actually originally what I was planning on looking at. However, it's a little bit more complicated when it comes to YouTube stats. What this video is going to be is explaining the system that I use to do a little bit of data analysis on my YouTube stats, and you can follow along if you like. Disclaimer though, like I say, it's a fair bit more complicated, and you'll see what I mean as we go along. To give you a little teaser on what we're looking forward to, I have here a couple of the stats, which is my total YouTube watch time. Leaked YouTube watch time, no. I've ran this little program that I'm going to show you guys twice now, as you can see, once about a year and a half ago, and then once very recently. And I've got it displayed in seconds, because sure, why not? This is the number of seconds in total that I have spent watching YouTube. As you can see, it's gone up by about, what's this, 13 million seconds over the last year and a half. And in total, this number right here is just over a year. Just over a year of YouTube watch time. Now, it's worth mentioning that a lot of that's going to be music, because I listen to my music on YouTube. So my numbers in the music area is certainly going to be overinflated. But yeah, there we go. We've got that total YouTube watch time. Another thing that we've got that I'll just quickly show you guys is the number of videos that you've seen per different YouTuber. So this is the old stats that I've got. Then I've got the updated stats here. As you can see, the numbers are a fair bit bigger. Cyrex, consistently my most watched YouTuber. That's the music. So anyway, we'll be going over those stats in detail later on. I'll take a quick tour through them at the end of the video. But for now, I'm going to show you guys how you actually do this yourself. And we are starting off right here. This is the program that I use for this, made by Jezimi. Right here, I used this about a year and a half ago, and I used it again recently. Now you can pick any program you like, and what you're doing with these programs is analyzing your Google Takeout, which is something that you can get as it describes on the GitHub page here. This one does actually have an option for downloading with YouTube DL, but this doesn't really work anymore. I'll explain more about that later. But the preferred method is to use Google Takeout. This is also what I would recommend. If you do use Google Takeout as well, you can use any program. You don't have to use this one. But Google Takeout is basically a method of downloading all of your Google data. You will need to tell it which Google data you want to download, because of course Google is pretty large and you don't need all of your Google data for this specific thing. You only need your YouTube data and YouTube music. It's the same checkbox. You'll see a big list of Google datas that you can download. You want to check the one that says YouTube and YouTube music. You can uncheck everything else. Now, it's worth noting that this single file for YouTube and YouTube music is still very large. It depends on what you use YouTube for, but personally, me obviously uploading on YouTube, it contains all of my YouTube videos in that file, which, fun fact, adds up to about 1.5 terabytes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have 1.5 terabytes of storage on my computer, but not to worry, it will split up the files, and what you're looking for is the first file. If I just quickly go into my files here and just leak all of my info, we can find out the takeout file here. This is what it looks like. You get the YouTube and YouTube music thing that I downloaded, and then we have all the stuff. Right, so this is everything. The big thing for me is the videos one, because this contains all my videos. This is only a section though. Like I said, it splits it up. So I split my one up in 10 gigabyte slots. When you download yours, you'll see it allows you to split them up however you like. And so I had this one, which had 10 gigabytes worth of stuff, and then all my others are just 10 gigabytes worth of videos. However you split it up, you're looking for file number 1, because number 1 is the one that contains your history. If you go into history, you'll see search history and watch history. Of course, watch history is the one we're looking for. Personally, for me, it's about 50 megabytes. For you, It could be any size, depends how much you've watched, I suppose. This is just a HTML document. If you want, you can go ahead and open this up in Chrome. It'll display reasonably nicely. You can Control F your way around it, and this is the file that we're looking for, right? This is the one that you want. So step 1, go to Google Takeout, download all the stuff, find file number 1, and find your watch history. It will take a while for Google to find all of your data for you and email it to you, but once it's emailed it to you, come back to the video and you can watch the rest of the video and find out what to do next. That's the plan. Right, so you get this HTML file. You can open it if you like. You don't have to. We're not going to for this time. We then go ahead with the usage of this little program here. Obviously you're going to need to download it. You can download it as a zip and unzip it, or however you fancy downloading things from GitHub. If you're actually smart, you know how to use GitHub. But yeah, so there you go. That's that. And then to run it, it's Python, so you're going to need to have Python. But then you just use Python. You type the name of the file, which is going to be YouTube history. You do --takeout, assuming you're using the Google Takeout. And then you put the path to takeout. Now, in theory, what you can do is you can put this watch history file in exactly the same place as you have the YouTube history file. But for some reason, I can't figure out how to actually make it execute. That's just my bad. No harm to anyone that does know how to do it, because you are the smart ones. If you know how to do it without a path and just put it in the right file, then good on you, because I'm brain dead and I couldn't figure it out. So what I did is I put it in this file called dumb, and it's in there. We have the watch history in there, and so then when I'm running the program, I just write the word dumb here, which is dumb, hence the name. That is very dumb, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. I assumed it would just be just the slash or something like that, but it didn't work. So, I don't know. You're welcome to do that if you want. But yeah, you want to go and take that file, the watch history file, and put it somewhere close to the Python program. You can put it in a folder in here if you want to do it like me. If you can put it in the same place. You can put it buried deep somewhere. As long as you know the path to it that you can type there, you're all good. And then we run the program. Right, it's got a nice example here of what the program should do. We can click on that. It should load up, and it's gonna, like I say, show a little example. So you've got here this person with a measly 4 million seconds watched of YouTube, and it's gonna give you some nice stats. Right, this is pretty nice, and this is in theory all the stats you can get. Now, I don't know how the person that made it successfully runs this program, but personally, doesn't work. Never has. I've been using it for 1.5 years and I've never successfully run the whole program. So why do I continue to use it? Because I like the program, and I will tell you today how to quote unquote fix it. If it works for you, great, and you may need to fix it in different ways. And this is where it gets really complicated, because I only use this program because I know a bit of Python and I can give it a go at making it run regardless, because when I run this program, it comes up with a hell of a lot of errors. Now, I will explain these. Error number 1, using YouTube DL. YouTube DL is kind of discontinued. It's not supported anymore. It's not maintained. You're gonna want to not use YouTube DL. So, how do we not use YouTube DL? Well, naturally, we have to go and edit the code, right? Thankfully, there is a fork of YouTube DL, which does basically the same thing and even more, and that's how they advertise it anyway. And if you go and download that, then you can use that instead. You will need it even if you're not using it to download your actual data. Even if you're using Takeout, you will still need YouTube DL. So you will need to download that. Also, I believe it's listed in the requirements, but the issue here is that you can't actually use YouTube DL because it doesn't work anymore. So you're going to need to go and download the other thing. So if we just scroll through this file a bit, you can see that I've got YouTube DLP written here. YTDLP. That is the name of the thing that is replacing YouTube DL. So if you want to download that, just Google it. It's very easy to download. You can do it with pip or something like that. If you know how pip works, it works like this. And yeah, it's very easy to download. And then what you're going to want to do is go through this code and just replace every instance of YouTube DL with YTDLP, right? Just find and replace. We got Control F we can Control F for YouTube DL, replace with YTDLP, right? It's simple. You're just going to want to go through this file and replace that with all of that. Like I say, you're going to have to download YTDLP first, but then that's problem one sorted. It will now successfully get the data. That's what we need. However, it's not going to be able to read the data because HTML files, in this case, are encoded in UTF-8, and it specifies that it's in UTF-8 periodically throughout this code. However, it doesn't do it enough, right? So we're going to need to specify it a couple more times. So you see here we've got a UTF-8, here we've got a UTF-8, and again we can just control UTF. And there will be a couple of times where it says that. You can Control F and find it. But for example, this one here, this one doesn't specify by default. If you just downloaded this, it's not going to specify. You need to add this on so that it specifies UTF-8, because otherwise it doesn't work. Worth noting as well, this one says UTF-8 without the dash. Other times it says it with the dash. That's important. You need to get it the right way round, because some of them are meant to have a dash and some of them aren't, and that's just really confusing. I'm going to just quickly keep flicking through so you get to see all the UTF-8s in my file. You can go and add all the UTF-8s in your file also. So there you go. Simples. Make sure you have all of them written, because otherwise, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to work. I don't know. So that's another error that you may come across. Fun. And then lastly, I just generally find that when it gets to the end step, it's doing the analysis on things like the total time, best and worst videos, funniest description, all these wacky things. I find that they just don't work. Now, again, it may just be me. It clearly works for some people, but for me, it just doesn't work. So what you can do here is what you need to do is you pick the stats that you want and get rid of the other ones, right? So you can see that I've commented out a couple of sections. So for example, these ones to do with the average rating, best and worst videos, I've just commented them out. It means it's not going to do that bit. I don't want those stats, and they crashed when I tried to get those stats, so I just commented them out, right? If there's anything that's crashing for you at that point, I would advise just commenting out. Assuming you've got to the analysis stage. I say getting to the analysis stage, what you're looking for is this little data thing. You should have some raw files, which are going to look like that, and there's going to be a lot of them. It's only displaying up to 7,000, but trust me, there's 55,000 of them in that file. And then if you go in RAN, you should have a df.csv. That's the two files you need. The ones in RAW are used to make the df.csv. Wait, did I say that right? Yeah, df.csv. Okay, cool. And then this is basically just a big old list of things. You can actually open it in Excel. It looks like this. It's not very human readable, and the column names don't match up with the actual information. So I wouldn't advise trying to use Excel to read this stuff. But you can open it in Excel and kind of see what it looks like. The raw ones, if you're interested, this is just one file for every YouTube video in your YouTube history. So if we open one of them up in, for example, Notepad++, if it fancies doing that at all, there we go. So we just have all of that info about a particular video, which in this case is a Nightcore mix. So woo, I guess I watched that shortly before requesting my data. There you go. But anyway, yes, you've got one file for each YouTube video, and then they all get combined together in this CSV file, which looks like this, right? Once you've got the CSV file, then you're on the analysis stage, right? And that's the point where you just start commenting stuff out if it's not working. Up until that point, you need to make sure it works. You need to get this CSV file. If you haven't got the CSV file yet and you're finding that the program's not working, it's erroring at some point, you're going to need to try and fix it, which is why I say this gets really complicated, because you kind of need some knowledge of Python if you're going to actually do something about that, right? Of course, you can always Google these things. Most of the issues that I had anyway were very easy to fix. But yeah, the main ones is just to do with the encoding. Make sure everything's specified to UTF-8 and you should be okay. But yes, then we're looking for the stats that we do want, because even the ones that we do want sometimes crash. The ones that we don't want crash, the ones that we do want also crash. So what do we do about that? Well, personally, the ones that I'm interested in is the top uploaders and also the total time. So as you can see, I've just printed them out. This is more code that's just not going to be there at the start when you first download it, and I'm just printing them out. This means when you run it, it's just going to display it in the console. So it will display the number of seconds that you have watched YouTube totally. It will also display the formatted time, which is in years, weeks, days, and all the rest of it. That's why I know that it's just over a year, because I read this. And then it's also, for me, going to print out the top uploaders. Now you have to have the toString in there because it's a pandas series, and if you print out a pandas series it will limit the number of rows that it prints out, and if you try and iterate through it, it will only print the integers. Trust me, I tried all of this stuff. But yeah, you put the toString there with the print and it prints this out. You're all good. Also, you can change this number right here. This is how many results it's going to get. So for my one, in my little notepad file here, you can see I have quite a lot of results. And that is, I will tell you, 250 results, the number there. This one only has 50 results, much shorter, because I put a smaller number here when I ran the code a year and a half ago. So there you go. You can pick how many results you want. Obviously, the more results you have, the bigger the file is, the longer it takes. But realistically, it doesn't make any difference. Just pick a number, you know? And if you want to go crazy, you can probably put like 1,000 and get a bunch of YouTubers right at the bottom that you only ever watched once. And good on you. So yeah, you can put pretty much any number you like here. And then, yeah, you print it out. Now, this is, of course, just how you get these two, but it's, for example, if I did want to get a different stat, for example, if I wanted funniest description, all I'd need to do is print out funniest description underneath here, right? I print it out. Well, I wouldn't print out the function, but like we go and find funniest description, and what we want is self.funny, I guess. So we can put underneath here something like print self.funny, and then if I run that, it'll print it out. Now, I don't know what data type this is, so this might not actually work, in which case you're going to need to check what data type it is by doing something like this, and then check how to print out that data type that it'll give you, and then print it out how the way it's said. Again, you kind of need a little bit of Python knowledge to actually do this kind of thing. I don't know how to print out this one because I don't care about that stat. If you care about that stat, you're going to have to figure it out, I'm afraid. But hopefully what I have said so far helps you to figure it out. I think the most interesting stats are definitely the top uploaders and the total time spent anyway. You also have the big old file if you want. And at the end of the day, you also have the original document, which you got here, the HTML file, which is actually reasonably humanly readable as well. And you can go and look at that. You may see a couple of other extra programs that I've got lying around. These I was just using to merge the HTML file with other HTML files and split up various individual files for YouTube and stuff, because I was messing around with this stuff a lot more than you need to. I'm not going to go into all of that stuff. You really don't need to bother. Mostly I was only doing it because this is the second time that I've run the program and I wanted to combine my data from last time as well. So there you go. There's a lot of stuff to it. Like I said, a bunch of times, kind of complicated. But yeah, anyway, there you go. And once you've done all of that stuff, what you're going to need to do is, because you printed out the information, right? You've just printed it out, it just pastes it into the console. You may notice what I have is I've got text file. How did I get the text file? It's simple. I copy pasted it from console. That's just simple, right? I just copy pasted it from console. I also have, for example, the tags one, and you will probably get this one, and this one is not very human readable, and I don't get it because it looks like... Come on, Notepad, please don't leave me hanging. It's not responding. Okay. It looks like that. Hey, there we go. Yeah, so that's not very human readable. This is not something that I did, whereas this is quite human readable. I copy pasted it off console and I just saved it here, right? So there you go. You get the point. It's pretty simple once you've figured it all out. Disclaimer also, this takes a long time to run. At least with the data that I've been giving it, it takes hours. It takes hours to run, which is why it took me a good while to get this video out, because I've been sitting here running it and then having it like not print correctly, and then I need to run it again, and it takes ages. But the aim of this video is that you don't need to do that, because I've given you all the answers already, and if you want to go through with it, you can just make all the changes that I've made, and hopefully it works. Of course, the person that originally made the program probably found that it works for them, and it doesn't work for me. I'm probably sure it doesn't work for you guys either, and even if you make my changes, it might still not work. So, I don't know. I feel like this program is just cursed. I will repeat again, I would advise you only to uptake this task if you have a bit of programming skills. You're confident that you can fix any errors that pop up, because the errors are simple, but you need to know what the code means, otherwise you aren't going to be able to fix them. So that's the issue. Of course, at the end of the day, there are a lot of other data analysis things out there that you can use. If you just Google it, you can do whatever you like with your Google Takeout. You can use that big old HTML file and just shove it through a different program, maybe one that works. But personally, I don't think the other ones are as good. They don't give you the data that I wanted anyway. They might give you the data you want, so I would advise you to do a bit of research into it. There you go. Anyway, hopefully that will help you out if you want to do the same thing that I did. I'm now going to go through the data that I've got, just because that might be a fun way to end up the video. So what have we got? We have the old and the new files right here, displaying 50 YouTubers on this file and 250 on this one. A bit more data there. Like I said, we've got Cyrex at the top of both, because Cyrex does music and I listen to a lot of music. This one we also have diversity at the top, because I listen to a fair bit of diversity. Back here, diversity was a lot lower down, as was all the music. You see Jacksepticeye, however, has barely gone up at all. In fact, he's actually gone down. Going down doesn't make sense, but don't worry, it does make sense, because over the course of the last year and a half, some of Jacksepticeye's videos have probably been taken down, been privated, something like that, and that just means it can't access the data anymore, so it hasn't included it. Meanwhile, I've watched basically no Jacksepticeye videos in the last year and a half, because I used to watch a lot of Jacksepticeye speaking. I used to watch a lot of Jacksepticeye a few years ago. As you can see, a lot of Jacksepticeye actually. He probably used to be well above Cyrex, but more recently, not so much. The same actually applies to most of these. We've got like Vikkstar very high up, iBallistic Squid. If you guys know him, you can probably tell purely from my age that I do not watch him anymore, but back when I was like 13, oh, I watched plenty of iBallistic Squid. We've still got diversity there. I didn't mention True Talent despite going past him, because actually I did watch a lot of True Talent there, and you may notice True Talent 750 goes up to over 1,000 because I was still watching him, right? See, big brain. We've got people like PewDiePie, who I did actually watch a fair bit of, and then we've got some older YouTubers as well. SMG4, haven't watched him a long time, so you see this number has barely gone up. We've got like popular MMOs, same rules apply, that number's actually gone down. Vikkstar, I used to watch a lot of Vikkstar. Where's his channel? There we go. It's gone up by 2. Wow. Vikkstar HD, actually, I also don't think I mentioned that. That's gone down. So there you go. A lot of these old YouTubers. We've got a lot of music stuff here as well. Chime, Ghost Data, Mitzi's, Firefly Music. There you go. And then Stampy goes along with Squid. There you go as well. And let's just scroll down to the bottom. I'll scroll reasonably slowly so you can kind of see people that go past if you're interested in them. Who have we got at the bottom? Chuck Steak, the 50th YouTuber on this list, makes YTPs. So I watch a lot of YTPs, or rather I used to. We've got How It Should Have Ended, everyone knows them, presumably, everyone used to know them. RT Game, watched a little bit of RT Game, but not that much. Bodil40, I recognise that name, but honestly I can't remember who Bodil40 is, so sorry Bodil. And yeah, you've got people here, right? You've got people. Dream, yo, I did actually watch a bit of Dream when he first became popular. Not so much recently. Then let's move over to the new list. So what have we got? A lot more music. We've got Cyrex, we've got Diversity, Chime, Immortal Swings, Sonexo, Monster Cat, Firefly, Mitzies, Ghost Data, NCS, Dubstep Gutter. That's it. That's the music. So there's a lot of music stuff though. New people that are here. Well, we've got Genie. Genie didn't used to be on this old list, at least not much if he was, but now he's very high up. Captain Sparkles. Wait, surely he must have been up here. Oh yeah, Captain Sparkles and Jerome. They were both up here. They haven't changed. I don't really watch them anymore. Small Ant Clips. That's going to be a reasonably new one. Geoxo. We've got more music. Super John Bombo. There you go. That's going to be an old one. That was probably here. Ah, look at that. The name change. So this is going to be the same guy, I think. But we've got the name change, which is pretty interesting. And then you can also notice that the number of videos has gone down, so I don't watch that anymore. R/Slash is there. I've watched a fair bit of R/Slash, as you can tell. We've got Grande, who was there in both. Even more music stuff. This is music, this is music, this is music, music. And it goes on. You see that I'll scroll through this one a bit. Kill Pete Strategy, he's a reasonably new one here. For me, anyway. Who else have we got that's new? Temp6T, he probably wasn't on this list. Let's Game It Out probably wasn't as much. Anyway, yeah, I'll just keep scrolling through. 250 results, we don't need to talk about all of them. And then we'll get all the way down to the bottom. We can see we see Chuck Steak there, who's actually gone up a bit. Wow. Amazing. Who's at the bottom now? Keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Official Nerd Cubed. Well, what do you know? I didn't even realise I'd seen Nerd Cubed, to be honest. Apparently I saw a whole 25 of his videos. I've no idea when that was. So read it. Don't know who that is. Chino. I think I recognise that channel. I'm not sure though. I recognise this one as well, but I'm not sure. Tommy Edison Experience. Not sure what that one is either. We've got Nice Drinks though. We know Nice Drinks. It's another YTPer. Oh, and you've got Michael Rosen, the real YTPer. Jalma as well is here. Farlands or Bust. Yo, you guys should just definitely check out Farlands or Bust. That's worth having. And yeah, anyway, there we go. So that's my stats. Fun stuff. If you feel like pausing and actually looking at all the stuff that I scrolled past, you are welcome to it. But yeah, a lot of stuff on there. As you can see, I watch far too much YouTube. But there we go. I'm going to end this video here. Hope that was a good bit of fun going through some of my stats. And hopefully you can go and find your own stats as well. If you do have any problems with it, feel free to let me know in the comments and I can attempt to address them. But it's worth noting that especially where code is concerned, you kind of need a conversation. I would legitimately advise you to ask on my Discord instead. We can share some print screens of code and that's even better. Also, if you actually get the thing working, let me know because I would be interested in hearing about that. And of course the link to the program will be in the description. I actually don't think I'd said that yet. I should have definitely made that obvious. The link will be down in the description. But yeah, all good things. And let me know if you do get your stats working. Like I said, it's kind of complicated. But hey, you can always use a different program if you get stuck. So anyway, I'm going to leave this video here. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully blah blah blah. Outro things. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Bye.